Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners, hosted by agency veteran and coach Steve Guberman. Agency Bytes is a podcast focused on delivering actionable agency information from agency experts in about 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because who has the attention span for much more these days? And you can squeeze in a listen between meetings with time for a bathroom break or coffee refill before your next meeting.
Welcome to Agency Bytes. This is a podcast for agency owners. I'm Steve Guberman from Agency Outsight, where I coach agency owners to build the agency of their dreams. I'm really pumped to be able to speak with Jacob Cass from Just Creative, joining me all the way from Australia today. Jacob's a brand designer, a strategist, educator, business coach, the founder of Just Creative, a branding and design consultancy that doubles as an industry-leading blog and community. I think there's a lot more that we can add on to that. Podcast host and father and husband and previous digital nomad. Jacob, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thanks for the intro. And yes, there's so many different titles we can all have, right? It's how do you cram that all in? I hate being put into a box, but I like to say that at my heart, I'm a designer and a lot of things stem from that. But we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think you could even safely say if you look at all the things you do, they all root from some sort of challenge, problem solving, which is the nature of design, right? So whether you're working with entrepreneurs or talking about a business system, there's a problem there, or designing a logo for a city, things like that. So yeah, designer at heart sounds good.
Absolutely. Problem solving. Hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. Talk about, so you've got a really awesome background. I first discovered you, I don't know on what social platform at the time, it might have been Twitter, but probably around 2010, 2011. I think you were working in New York City, and then you became a digital nomad with maybe your girlfriend, wife at the time. Now you're settled in Sydney. Talk about kind of what your journey has been as a designer and entrepreneur to like where you are now and some of the things that you're able to do to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Twitter because this would probably be around, as you said, about 2010. And because of Twitter, that really catapulted my career. And that's when my career started. So I'll give the brief backstory. So in 2010, when I was studying visual communication, I got headhunted by an agency in New York City. So I was studying in Sydney at the time. I had 6 months to go to graduate. And I said yes. I flew across to the other side of the world 6 months later. Didn't know anyone, didn't know anything about living on your own or anything about the city or even working in an agency. It was like a huge, total leap out of my comfort zone, but it totally catapulted my career. So I went from being a design student to working for brands like Disney and Nike right out of the gate. So it was like a huge catapult. It's really unheard of, but it was how I cut my teeth in the industry. So I stayed in New York for about 5 years. I worked for a number of different agencies, startups to in-house to an ad agency. And the last one I mentioned, the ad agency, is where I spent about 4 years of the time there in New York doing interactive design, working on websites, even packaging at times, a lot of digital design. So I brought all that design and branding knowledge to the interactive digital world. And that's what actually got me there in the first place, was because I was very ahead of the curve in terms of being on social media. It's strange to say that right now, where it's just so normal, but Twitter was just really growing, and I had a very popular blog at the time, which I still run today, which has really been the backbone of my business, which we can get into. But yeah, so went from a design student to working in New York for about 5 years, cutting my teeth. Then I went and did the digital nomad thing. I was meant to go for a year, traveled to 88 countries through that time. 1 year turned into 3 years, and kept traveling. And this is where I had I was traveling with my wife, didn't have kids at the time. And yeah, I ran the business while I was doing the digital nomad lifestyle. And this was Just Creative, as mentioned before. And yeah, then after about 3 years of travel, settled home down in Sydney, Australia, got a family. Now we have a family of 3, set up roots in Sydney, which is where I grew up. And yeah, now I'm a little bit more bolted down into the ground. We do travel, but much less, freely, if you will. So fast forward to today. Now I run a blog, Just Creative. I run the brand agency still. I run a community. I run a podcast, which is focused on branding. It's called Just Branding. And yeah, a bunch more, which, I'm happy to talk about any of those things. But that is the story in a very short nutshell.
That's amazing. I love it. You like, I think you are the epitome of like when people say, that side hustle, because I always see you dropping like a new typeface that you designed, or you've got this, or you've got that. And it all, again, it
It's a
stems
bit
from
of a
problem
blessing
solving.
and a curse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call myself a creative drifter, and it definitely has its blessings and curses. So I do go down rabbit holes, and I do get distracted easily. When new tools come out, AI or ChatGPT or blockchain or NFTs, like I'm the first down there, and it keeps you on the razor's edge. And that's how I got my job in New York City in the first place. But it is also distracting, so I don't have as much focus. But I do like problem solving in different areas, and I dabble and experiment. And ultimately, we all talk about freedom, and for me, it's about creative freedom. If you can be free to do what you love and experiment and do things your way, then I think that's the ultimate goal. And yeah, I'm always working towards that. It's not always easy, but it's dabbling. It's fun. I hate being boxed in, and that's why I kind of left the startup in-house role, because I hated working on like one brand. I like working on versatile, different things. So yeah.
Yeah. How much of what would you say your pie chart is of where you spend your, I guess, overall week, as between designing, coaching, blogging, etc., running your business, things like that?
Yep. It changes from week to week. And just to give context, so the blog, I had about 10 people working with me on the blog for over, all over the world, and they write content and they edit content, and I helped manage and give them strategy to grow our site. And it's very affiliate driven. If you're into affiliate marketing, it's an affiliate marketing site mainly, not all, but probably about 80% of that. So I could spend 50% of my time on that in a given week, and then 30% on branding and 20% on community and design, or it could be the complete opposite the next week. So it really ebbs and flows. It's depends how many clients you have at one time. It depends on what projects or side hustles you got going on. So it definitely changes. But yeah, it's where your energy needs to go, I guess, depending on deadlines and what promos are happening. Like, for example, if Christmas or Black Friday or some other sales promotion is going on, then you'll want to put your efforts there, and you have to put other things aside.
Yeah. So some of the work that you've done, I mean, design work, you've been in a ton of the Logo Lounge books. You recently did the City of San Francisco. How much would you say of the design work that you do helps kind of elevate your stature, I guess? I don't even know what you would call it, versus the speaking, the TEDx, the podcast, the community that you're building, or does the design work really just feed your creative desires to build something?
No, design is definitely why I'm here. So I love design. I mentioned that before. Like, at my heart, I'm a designer, and logo design was a huge passion of mine. It still is, not so much, but for the first 5-10 years of my career, I was very focused on logo design and brand identity design, and that's how I had the opportunity to design the logo for San Francisco. And I still do design today. I haven't been able to shake that off, even though I'm doing some strategic consulting these days. It's I like bridging the gap between strategy and design, and I just haven't been able to shake the design aspect. And it really does come down to problem solving, as we mentioned before, and it's just bringing strategy to life, and that's what I love. Yeah.
So you also mentioned your blog. I didn't realize you had all these people working for you. It's a machine. It's been a machine for a long time. I mean, I've gone there many times. Like, oh, I know he mentioned this tool or this software or this widget or whatever, and so it's an affiliate tool. You've got a recurring revenue machine going for quite some time now, right?
Yes. So just for people who are unaware of affiliate marketing, basically how it works is I recommend a product. Someone clicks on a link that's on the site, and then if they buy, then I'll get a commission from that at no extra cost to the user. So it's a win-win for everyone. And we've been able to scale that over the past few years. We used to do it quite on a small scale, but then as we knew how it could work, we grew a team, and we scaled up, and that was actually quite lucrative over the past few years. But the game is changing. Google is changing how they rank and how they rank sites and certain pages,
Mm-hmm.
and AI has come into the mix. So there's a lot of things going on. It's getting increasingly more difficult. It was difficult before, but even more now. So yes, it was a machine. It still is, but to a lesser extent today. But yeah, I'm not sure where we want to go from here.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned AI. I know you are heavily into it. You love playing with it. I think you recently launched like an AI bot for Just Creative, or maybe for your coaching practice. What was that all about?
Yeah, so I have been dabbling with AI quite a bit. So everything from ChatGPT to creating my own GPTs, my own little bots, to Midjourney, to Adobe Firefly, and all the Adobe suite now has AI built into it, as well as Canva, Magic. So yeah, I'm dabbling with different things and experimenting. There's a ton of other tools as well, some stronger than others, but they're the kind of key ones that I've been dabbling with. And yes, I did release a bot. It's called Brand Bot. It's a free bot. Basically, I trained this bot on all things branding, design, and marketing. So you can input certain queries and the bot will be more trained in that. I've trained it on my ebooks and articles based around branding, marketing, and design. So you can pump in questions and it will pump out answers for you. Everything from writing briefs to creating mood boards, suggesting different options. It's very well versed in all those topics I mentioned. And I've also released a second one called Mood Board Maker, which is specially designed just to create mood boards for the design process. So it's for rapid prototyping. It's more of a conversational bot. So to get better results, rather than just typing, create a mood board for my brand agency, it would actually ask you questions like, what style do you want? What's the audience? All the key questions we ask as consultants ourselves. It will actually queue you up for those questions to get a better result in the long run, or short run, sorry. And yeah, it's really powerful, actually. It's great for rapid prototyping. If you have any creative directors in your team, it can be really powerful to communicate an idea very quickly to your designers. And it also outputs the text. I didn't mention this. It outputs the text and breaks it down by like, here's the fonts you could try, here's some colors, here's some styles or patterns, and it gives you suggestions and a visual image to actually go off. So that's a really powerful free tool. It's called Mood Board Maker. You can find it on my site, justcreative.com. Just type it into the search bar there. There is a URL, but I don't know it. So yeah, that's all free. It's just tools I'm dabbling with. Yeah.
So this is recorded November of 2023. This year has been upended in the agency space by AI. Agencies are either ignoring it because this is not going to do anything, and we know what's going to happen to those guys, or agencies are panicking because they're going to put me out of a job. AI is going to replace the agency. The copywriter is no more. Strategist is no more. And I think the agencies, the creatives, the strategists that are good at what they're doing and can leverage it and tap into it to assist them will be the ones that succeed. You're putting out tools like, are you, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, putting the designer out of business, or like how are these tools not seen as something that's going to take my job? And I know that's a panic mindset. It's not reality, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get the concern for it, but the quote that I always come back to is, AI is not going to take your job. Someone using AI will.
Yeah.
So it's about integrating, experimenting, trying it, embracing it, and not fearing it, and seeing if it can work within your workflow. How can it improve your process, your productivity? If it can, then great. I have found it to be incredibly helpful and productive. I use it every single day. Everything from writing or improving my copywriting to getting ideas very quickly. It's getting crazily good at, if you, even with basic prompts or like questions, it's becoming very, very good. And if you can improve those prompts, creating mega prompts or using other tools that have some really powerful prompts behind it, it can get really, really good. And yeah, if I had to say one thing, it's just like, don't fear it, embrace it, try it, experiment, see how it gets into your process.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're building out tools that other people can tap into and leverage is giving them more of that refinement of, currently ChatGPT, like you can put in a prompt and then it'll spit something back and you can refine it. But you're giving these kind of strategy-driven prompts that people can lean into for rapid prototyping, for idea building, and it has, very quickly, it's come very far. 3 months ago, you asked it to spit out, an image and the hands were all weird and whatever. And now, even things like that are improving. So, I think it's definitely commendable the way that you're like leaning into it, putting tools out there for creatives and strategists to utilize. So plus it, like you said, it feeds your passion of, I need to be on the edge of things.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say I need to be. It's just like I'm a very curious person, and that's even related in it ties back to my travel. I always like exploring new things, and I'm always trying new things. My wife and friends laugh at me because I walk up to a party with a 6-pack, but the 6-pack is all different beers or different drinks. It's always different. I'm always drinking new wines and trying new things, and if there's something on a menu that I've never seen before, like that's what I'll get. I'm just a curious person, and like I said, it's a blessing and a curse. You go down these rabbit holes, but being on the bleeding edge does also have its benefits as well.
Yeah, that's real exciting. Talk about kind of the business that you've built. Again, it's so many different things, which I really admire. How has that aided in you building out like a work-life balance in the past few years?
Yeah. So, good question. I'm all about freedom, and that's one of my core values: freedom, curiosity, and empowerment. And that's tied in with my whole business. And the freedom, that's really, really important. And for me, it's about having that balance between family life and also doing what you love. That creative freedom I mentioned before. So passive income is a big part of it. And that's why affiliate marketing is so powerful, because you can earn money while you sleep. There's so many different ways to earn passive income, whether it be real estate or crypto or anything. But what interests me is, writing, SEO. There's some science behind it as well. SEO is search engine optimization. That's a part of it. So there's my affiliate revenue. Then there's digital products. So I've released a typeface called Just Sans. You can get a couple of weights free on my site as well. The full family is a paid product. But yeah, everything from affiliate marketing to digital products to subscriptions. So I run a community for creatives. That's a paid membership community. Again, that's a recurring model revenue. And the services, right? So my brand consulting design services. So that's more like time for, you still have to spend your time, but we do use value-based pricing as well. So it's not always an hourly basis. So we do have a couple of different revenue models, if you will, and it's diversification. So now that we're on to diversification, I do want to mention that the affiliate side of the business has really gone south in the past year. It was amazing in the past few years, but as I mentioned, Google is changing and it's getting increasingly more difficult. So this time last year, we had 90% more traffic. So it was a crazy difference. And
wow.
The point is, if I had all my eggs in that basket, then I would be freaking out. I'm not freaking out right now. It's sad to see, when your traffic plummets and your revenue is going down, but because you have a platform based on a personal brand and other products, you can survive and get out of it. So that's not the case for everyone. I'm not the only person that has had their site affected. It is quite across the board, especially for middle tier websites such as myself. But yeah, it's getting increasingly more difficult. And next year, AI is likely going to come into search results as well and, affect organic search results. So we will be pushed even further down the page. So yeah, the writing's on the wall. That's what I should share.
Wow. That's surprising to hear, because I really just thought that was being affected by AI generated content, where you've got a history of human generated content that's rich in providing value, providing service, as opposed to clickbait, 10 reasons why you should whatever, nonsense. So yeah, that's very surprising to hear.
Yeah, it's sad really, because, we've been around since 2007 and there's a lot of experience and clout in there, and we were playing with the big boys before. So we were outranking a lot of like big sites like Walmart or Best Buy, Tech Radar or whatever.
Wow.
Now you won't even see a mid-sized blog in the top results for certain queries. So we've all been pushed further down, and Google is really focusing on high tier authoritative sites, which is, I get it. Like, users are looking for that. They don't want repeated content from, mid-sized blogs that, some sites can be a little questionable. So they are improving their product. So I get it, but yeah, it's just getting more difficult.
Yeah. That's crazy. You mentioned value-based pricing for your design services, and I would lean towards the hunch that most of the audience is a service-based business operator. Did you ever debate, the different pricing models, value-based, retainer-based, hourly, et cetera? Why would you what landed you on value-based pricing?
Okay, before I get into that, I ran a state of brand survey this year, 2023. I know this will be 2024, but last year in 2023, I surveyed 267 branding professionals, and I surveyed them on all different things from their current challenges to pricing to the future of AI, client acquisition, and so forth. And the pricing one was really surprising, or maybe not so surprising actually, because I tried to understand, how do branding professionals price? And only about 30% use value-based pricing. The vast majority use hourly-based pricing. And if you think about that, is that I don't want to say shooting ourselves in the foot, but is it lowering the value of what we do? That's the question.
Yeah.
Can we get paid for more? Can we get paid more by still doing the same work, even though how do I say this? We're still delivering the same thing, but we can create more value, and we have to create that value in the mind of the customer. So this does take some finessing. It is a skill set. It comes down to sales skills and understanding business and the value you can bring and their business and, all of that. So it's a tricky, delicate situation, and it's probably one of the reasons why not so many agencies or creative services brands do it, because it can be challenging. For me, I'm no expert in it either. I used to do more of a how do you say it? Like a 3-tier offering, and you can have
good, better,
gold,
best,
silver,
almost
or bronze. Yes, exactly. Kind of that. And even earlier in my career, I didn't even do that. I had an online form. I got people to fill it out, and then I'd send them a proposal, and I didn't even get on the phone call with them. This was terrible in hindsight, and I lost so much business because of it. But I was doing the digital nomad thing. I was in different time zones, and it worked very well for me. I was still booked out because I was only working 4 hours a day, and it worked for me. It was a totally different time back then. But SEO is a big part of that. But yeah, it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it depends on where you are in your career. You may not be able to do value-based pricing right at the beginning. You don't have the skill set yet. You may not have the business caliber and so forth. So it's understanding where you are as a company, who your target audience is, and also maybe how you're positioned in the marketplace to see if that kind of approach is right for you at this point in time. But there's one resource I can recommend. The Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair Enns was a really great book that kind of got me into that mindset. And watching Chris Do on The Future on YouTube, he has a great series on this as well. He's a bit of a Jedi. I love his work, and he's grown really, really big over the past few years. So there are two resources I'd recommend if you want to learn more about value-based pricing from someone that's a little bit more experienced in it.
Yeah, Blair's book and his whole manifesto, even the podcast he has with David C. Baker, they talk a lot about pricing models and value-based pricing. And Chris Sam, he's got some really good talks about it. If we mention Chris enough times here, maybe he'll join me on an episode. He travels a ton, so maybe we can send the energy.
He will. He's very open to this. His mission is to reach as many people, and every podcast has a different audience. So it's I'm sure he would.
He's blown up big this year, but some really good value on the content and the topics that he's talking about. So I'm glad that model is working for you. I know a lot of early stage creatives, they don't have the confidence in themselves, in their work, to put out a number and say, oh, it's $50 an hour, it's $100, whatever that number is. but now they're tied to, we need to, watch the clock versus understanding how can I get more value out of the work that I'm doing and the results of the work that the client is purchasing from me. So I think it's an experience thing also, which goes a long way.
Yeah, and just one other example on this. So this happened recently. I had a client that I sent a proposal for. It was a retainer proposal, sorry. And in it, I said, well, here are your goals, and here are some of the objectives, and here are some of the deliverables. And it was a set fee per month. And then I got a response back saying, well, how many hours are you working on this? You haven't specified this. And I said, this isn't about how many hours I work on it. This is about the value that we create for you based on your goals. And that's why we spend a lot of time focusing on those goals, because then we have key metrics to work towards. If you don't have that, it's very hard to, understand the value that you're creating. And if another example is, you may have heard this story, but there's, I'm going to butcher this, but a technician went to fix a ship, and he had a hammer, and he tapped on the boat a few times, and the ship got fixed, and he sent an invoice, and it was $1,000 for knowing where to hit the hammer and $1 for hitting the hammer. So It's not about the actual job of hitting the hammer. It's about the knowledge and the experience and the value that you bring to the table. And, it was a very poorly said story, but the key point is there. And, if you think about us as creatives, if we kept charging hourly and our experience grows, we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're getting more experience and we're still charging the same amount, and we're probably even getting faster at our job as well. So it's like, how are we still doing this hourly business? It just doesn't make sense. So we have to move away from that and bring in other models.
Yeah. Both the boat story and that last example, couldn't have said it better myself. Nailed it. Real quick, I want to shift gears, throw a couple of rapid fire questions at you. So what's the latest new hobby or book or something that you just can't get enough of these days?
Well, every year I write some goals and I'd like to do a worksheet and a mood board together. And I try to do some personal goals and some business goals. And I got to the end of the year, I looked at that sheet, and I'm like, I wrote down some of my other passions, like wine that I've been getting into. And I wanted to take a wine course, and I'm like, near the end of the year, I'm like, I haven't done what I said I was going to do. So, I finished a wine course last week. So I was like, okay, I've done some personal things. And then I looked at like, well, what about other things are on there? Like just little words. It's like, action and adventure and dairy. And I'm like, well, what have I done that this year that I've, kind of fits into that? So I always come back to that just to recalibrate and see what goals have I done, what haven't I done, and so forth. And, that's important for me. It's other projects I'm actually recalibrating at the moment. This is November now, and just about planning for the next year, reflecting the past year, seeing what has worked, what hasn't. This year has been a terrible year for myself because of SEO reasons and everything. But the prior year before that was incredible. So it's like, I have to reflect on like, well, what has to change? The market is changing. How can I adapt? What can I do differently? And that, that keeps things interesting. And, it's just it's more about reflection, recalibration, refocusing, and then putting a plan together and executing on that. So that's where I'm at. Who knows what that's going to lead to? We'll see.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some other shiny objects soon.
Yeah. So when can we expect the Just Sommelier to come out?
Never.
So
Never.
Personal or professional, what's a tool that you've recently integrated into your life that you can't seem to understand how you lived without it before it? Other than AI.
Well, ChatGPT is, other than AI. Okay. That was an easy answer. Other tools. So I'm always changing my tools, and Adobe is like the one I've used from the beginning. I think we all do as designers, so that's a bit of a cop out. But I'm always trying new tools to see how they can improve my process. So I have worked in web or interactive design for a long time. So I've been across all the different programs, whether it be Photoshop designing, Illustrator designing, XD, Sketch, Webflow. And Figma, I've just started to get into Figma, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But all those tools have become at least more intermediate to advanced at, and then a new tool comes out. So that's the web industry. But yeah, it's about experimentation and trying new things, and don't get stuck in your old ways. I still work in WordPress as well, but when I see Webflow or Figma, I was like, wow, that's just going to save my time even further. Why am I still on WordPress? There's different use case scenarios for each one, but just don't settle, I guess.
Love that. My final question, and I think you've touched on it a million times already, and you just kind of even touched on it again, but a super valuable piece of business advice that you find indispensable that you want to share.
Do things your own way. Try it out. Don't take advice from other people. Figure it out. That's my advice. Take it or leave it.
I love it. Jacob, again, man, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, watching you over the years and the things that you've launched and the success that you've had. I'm grateful for you sharing your time with my audience. So thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Great questions too.
Thanks again for tuning in to Agency Bytes. If you know someone with expert knowledge on a topic that agency owners would love to hear about, go to agencyoutsight.com/podcast-guest and nominate them.